Gentlemen, what if I told you there is one single position, one small specific adjustment that research shows can work for up to 89% of women, and most men have never even heard of it? Not because it's complicated, not because it requires anything special, but because nobody ever explained the actual science of how her body works. I'm Dr. Lila Romano, a board-certified urologist with over a decade of experience helping men understand what actually works, not just in theory, but in real, lasting, deeply satisfying relationships. And today, I'm going to change the way you think about intimacy forever. Now, before you assume you already know where this is going, stop right there. Because this is not about lasting longer. This is not about trying harder. This is not about anything you've probably already tried. This is about understanding the biology behind what her body actually needs and positioning yourself to work with that biology instead of unknowingly working against it. Stay with me, because what I'm about to share is backed by decades of peer-reviewed research, and once you understand it, you will never approach intimacy the same way again. Now, before anything else, here's something I want you to hear clearly, and I mean this genuinely. It is not your fault. Everything most men know about intimacy came from the wrong places. Movies, friends, trial and error. Nobody, not your doctor, not your school, not anyone, sat down and explained the actual science of what makes certain approaches effective, and others completely miss the mark. So let me give you that science right now. According to research, only about 18 to 20% of women can experience full satisfaction from traditional intercourse alone. Let that sink in for a moment. Only 18 to 20%. That means roughly 80% of women need something additional, something beyond what most standard approaches provide, to experience complete satisfaction. Here's the key insight that changes everything. Most conventional approaches focus on depth and speed. That's what men are taught, consciously or not, to prioritize. But here's what the research actually shows. Depth and speed are almost entirely irrelevant to what that 80% of women actually need. What matters most is consistent contact with the external sensitivity zone, the area with over 8,000 nerve endings, more nerve endings than almost anywhere else in the human body. And here's the painful truth. Most standard positions create little to no sustained contact with that area at all. The very zone that the majority of women depend on for satisfaction is being completely bypassed. That's the real issue. Not effort, not duration, not any of the things men typically worry about. And that's exactly the problem this one technique was designed to solve. But before I show you what it is, I need to talk to you about something even more important first. If you're watching this and you're over 50, I want you to know something. I've sat across from hundreds of men in my practice, men in their 50s, 60s, 70s, and I see the same look in their eyes. A quiet worry, a question they're almost afraid to ask out loud. Do I still have what it takes? Maybe things don't happen as quickly as they used to. Maybe there's more pressure to perform than there used to be. Maybe intimacy has started to feel less like connection and more like a test you're afraid of failing. I understand that. And I want you to hear this directly from a urologist who has worked with men your age for over a decade. You have something that younger men will never have. You have experience. You have patience. You have the emotional intelligence to actually focus on her, not just on yourself. And here's what the research confirms. Those qualities matter far more than youth ever did. Younger men rush. They confuse intensity with intimacy. They think speed and force are what she needs. But study after study shows that's exactly backwards. What most women, especially mature women, truly appreciate is a partner who understands their rhythm, a partner who takes his time, a partner who is focused on her experience, not just his own. Completion. I had a patient, a gentleman in his late 50s, who came to see me feeling completely disconnected from his partner. He said their intimacy had become routine, mechanical, almost something they both endured rather than enjoyed. He wasn't dealing with any major physical issues. He was dealing with a knowledge gap. Within 6 weeks of learning exactly what I'm about to teach you, he came back and told me it was like starting over with his partner, in the best possible way. That's where this technique comes in, because it was specifically designed not to demand more from you physically, but to make what you already bring work smarter. And that, gentlemen, is exactly where experience becomes your greatest advantage. Now let's talk about what this technique actually is and why it works so powerfully. It's called the Coital Alignment Technique, or CAT for short. It was developed by psychotherapist Edward Eichel in the 1980s, and it has been studied and validated in peer-reviewed research for decades since. At first glance, and this is the important part, it looks almost identical to the missionary position you already know. The setup is familiar, but there is one critical difference that changes absolutely everything. Here's how it works. Instead of the standard positioning, the male partner shifts slightly upward along his partner's body. Just a few inches, that's it. This one small shift repositions the base so that it now rests directly against the external sensitivity zone, the very area that 80% of women depend on for satisfaction. And then, this is the second game-changing element. Instead of the traditional forward and back thrusting motion, CAT uses a slow, coordinated rocking motion, up and down, not in and out. The entire body moves as one fluid unit, maintaining continuous, steady contact with that critical zone rather than repeatedly breaking contact with it. Now, let me tell you why this works from a biological standpoint, because this is where it gets truly fascinating. The external sensitivity zone doesn't respond the same way to friction as it does to sustained rhythmic pressure. The nerve pathways in that area are activated most powerfully by consistent, rhythmic stimulation, not intermittent contact. Thrusting, by its very nature, creates contact and then immediately removes it, over and over. CAT, by contrast, maintains that contact throughout the entire motion. It's the difference between tapping a drum repeatedly and holding a steady, resonant note. One creates noise, the other creates music. In a landmark study published in the Journal of Sex and Marital Therapy, women who practiced CAT reported a 56% increase in satisfaction. 56% from one adjustment, not a new supplement, not a medical procedure. One positional shift backed by decades of research. And here's what makes it even more powerful. Both partners coordinate their movement together, the male guiding the downward motion, while the female leads the upward one. This creates a push-pull rhythm that builds gradually, increasing intensity in a way that is completely controlled, completely connected, and deeply satisfying for both partners. Now let me walk you through exactly how to do this. Step by step, no guesswork. Step 1, the starting position. Begin in the standard face-to-face setup. She's on her back, you're above her, facing her. So far, everything feels completely normal. This is important. There's no awkward transition, no moment where you have to stop and explain what you're doing. It begins exactly as she'd expect. Step 2, the critical adjustment. Now here's where everything changes. Shift your body slightly upward, just a few inches higher than you normally would. Your chest should roughly align with her shoulders rather than her chest. This shifts your hips upward just enough so that the base of your body now rests naturally against her external sensitivity zone rather than bypassing it entirely. Step 3, the motion. Begin gently, slowly. The movement is a rocking motion, up and down, not in and out. Think of it less like traditional thrusting and more like a slow, steady wave. Your whole body moves together as one unit, hips, torso, everything flowing in a single, smooth, continuous rhythm. This is not about power. This is about precision and patience. Step 4, the coordination. You lead the downward rock. She naturally follows with an upward one. This creates a gentle but powerful push-pull rhythm. When you rock down, she rocks up. When you rock up, she rocks down. Think of it like a slow dance. Two people moving together, in sync, building something neither could create alone. That coordination is what creates the sustained, escalating stimulation that makes this technique so effective. Step 5. Let her guide you. Once you've established the rhythm, pay close attention. Is she drawing you closer? Is her breathing deepening? Is her body naturally pressing upward to meet you? Those are your signals that it's working. If she tenses or pulls back slightly, ease off, adjust your height or pressure slightly, and check in with her. And if the angle feels slightly off at first, that's completely normal. A small shift of half an inch in either direction can make a significant difference. Don't break the rhythm, just subtly adjust, and let her response tell you when you've found the right spot. The essence of CAT is not technical perfection. It is patience and coordination. You are not performing for her. You are connecting with her. And that distinction, that simple shift in mindset, is what separates an ordinary, intimate experience from an extraordinary one. Now, I want to take a moment to address something that I think is genuinely important, and something that, honestly, most doctors will never say out loud. In my decade plus of urological training and practice, I can tell you that we spend remarkably little time on this. Medical education has historically been focused almost entirely on male sexual function, erections, ejaculation, performance. Female pleasure, and specifically how a male partner can facilitate it, has been treated as almost an afterthought. Here's a fact that still shocks most people when they hear it. The full internal anatomy of the clitoris, the very structure at the center of this conversation, was not completely mapped and published in peer-reviewed medical literature until 1998. A landmark study by Dr. Helen O'Connell revealed for the first time the true extent of that anatomy, showing it to be far larger and more complex than anyone had acknowledged in medical textbooks. 1998, gentlemen. Most of us were already adults. This information has been hiding in plain sight, and the medical community simply wasn't prioritizing it. So, if you've never heard of the CAT technique before today, if no doctor, no health class, no trusted source ever explained this to you, it is not because this information doesn't exist. It is because the system was never designed to teach it, and that, to be direct about it, is a failure that has affected relationships for generations. I share that not to be critical of medicine as a whole. I am proud of what this field does. I share it because I want you to understand that your ignorance of this was imposed on you, not chosen by you. And now that you have this knowledge, you have the power to change everything. Now, CAT is extraordinarily effective for most couples, but I want to give you everything today, because research points to a second technique that some women actually prefer even more, and understanding both gives you a complete picture. It's the forward-facing woman on top variation, and the reason it's so powerful comes down to one word: control. When she is on top, she guides everything: the depth, the speed, the angle, the pressure. And because approximately 96% of women need some form of external activation, either alongside or instead of internal movement, to reach completion, this position is uniquely powerful. It allows her to naturally create contact with the exact zone she needs stimulated at precisely the intensity and rhythm that works for her individual body. No guessing, no adjusting. She finds it herself. Research consistently confirms that a higher proportion of female satisfaction is reported in face-to-face setups where the woman is above. And the reason is simple: she's in control of her own experience. Here's how to make it work beautifully. Before you even get there, take a moment and let her know you'd love for her to take the lead. One sentence: "I want this to be completely for you," removes all pressure and opens the door. For her, don't bounce. Rock. Lean slightly forward so that the external area naturally makes contact with your pelvic bone, then rock forward and back, finding the angle and rhythm that feels right for her body. Every woman is slightly different, so this is about her discovering what works, not following a rigid formula. For you, your role in the beginning is beautifully simple. Stay still. Let her find her pace without you adding motion that might disrupt her focus. Rest your hands on her hips, gently, supportively, not controlling. Once she's settled into her rhythm and you can sense her body relaxing into it, then, and only then begin adding subtle upward motion that synchronizes with her movement. She leads, you follow. Together, you create something that works for both of you. Now, here is the layer that takes both of these techniques from deeply satisfying to genuinely extraordinary. And I want to be very direct with you about this because it matters. Research from Emory University found that approximately 7 in 10 women need some form of external stimulation to reach full completion. 7 in 10. And a broader body of research puts that number even higher, closer to 96% benefit meaningfully from external touch, either alongside or instead of internal movement. This is not a bonus feature. This is not something extra you do if you feel like it. This is essential. During CAT, your hands are free. Use them. While you maintain the rocking rhythm with your body, use your hand to gently stimulate her external zone. The combination of positional contact plus direct touch creates a layered, multidimensional experience that research shows is the most consistently effective approach for female satisfaction. Don't abandon the rhythm to do this. Integrate it. Let both happen simultaneously. During Woman on Top, she can manage this herself, using her own hand, yours, or an external tool. If she feels the slightest hesitation about this, reassure her genuinely and warmly. Tell her, in whatever words feel natural to you, that watching her enjoy herself is one of the most appealing things in the world to you. Because for most men, that's simply the truth. And hearing it removes every barrier instantly. The combination of the right position, the right rhythm, and intentional external touch is not just a technique. It is the complete picture of what her body actually needs. And when you give her all three together, the results speak for themselves. Before we move to your action plan, I need to talk about the mistakes I see most often, because even with the right technique, these errors can completely undermine everything you've learned today. Mistake 1. Going too fast. Both cat and woman on top depend entirely on rhythm. Slow, steady, coordinated rhythm. The moment you rush, even slightly, you break that rhythm. And when the rhythm breaks, the stimulation becomes inconsistent and the experience falls apart. Start slow. Build gradually. Let the intensity rise naturally. Trust the process. Mistake 2. Forgetting to communicate. Every woman's body is different. What works for one partner may need a slight adjustment for another. Ask her, in the moment, naturally, without making it clinical. Does this feel good? Should I adjust higher, lower, softer? Communication during intimacy isn't awkward. It's one of the most intimate things you can do. It tells her that her experience matters to you more than your own. Mistake 3. Focusing on your own finish. The moment your attention shifts from her response to your own performance, you lose the most important guidance system you have: her breathing, her sounds, how her body moves and responds to yours. That feedback is everything. Stay present. Stay focused on her. Your experience will take care of itself. Mistake 4. Giving up too soon. The first time you try CAT, it may feel slightly unfamiliar. The coordination may not be perfect immediately. That is completely normal. These techniques require a little practice, not because they're complicated, but because any new pattern takes time to feel natural. Keep going. The coordination improves every single time. And once it clicks, it becomes effortless. Mistake 5. Treating it like a performance. This is perhaps the most important mistake of all. If you approach intimacy as something you need to succeed at, as a test with a pass or fail outcome, you create pressure. And pressure, for both of you, is the single greatest enemy of genuine satisfaction. This is not a performance. It is an exploration. Go into it with curiosity, not expectation, with presence, not pressure. Mistake 6. Skipping the warm-up. The emotional and physical connection that happens before intimacy dramatically influences how effective both of these techniques will be. Her body, and yours, responds far more fully when there is genuine connection, touch, and attention in the time leading up to intimacy. Don't skip that. It's not a preamble, it's part of the experience itself. Here's what I want you to truly understand before we close. These techniques work, not because they're clever tricks, but because they're built on biology, on actual science, on what her body genuinely needs and has always needed. Only about 20% of women experience full satisfaction from conventional intercourse. The rest, the vast majority, require the kind of external, sustained stimulation that cat and woman on top are specifically designed to provide, not by accident, by design. But here's what matters even more than the position itself: your mindset. If you walk into intimacy trying to prove something, trying to perform, trying to check a box, trying to confirm something about yourself, you create pressure. And pressure doesn't just affect you, she feels it too. It changes the energy of the entire experience. But if you walk in curious, focused on her, present with her, genuinely interested in discovering what makes her feel extraordinary, that is when these techniques become truly transformative. That is when intimacy stops being something you do and starts being something you share. The goal was never to check a box. The goal is to create an experience where she feels completely seen, completely cared for, and thoroughly, deeply satisfied. When you combine these research-backed techniques with that kind of genuine presence, that is when everything changes. Not just for her, for both of you. So here is exactly what I want you to do this week. No pressure, no big announcement, just intentional action. This week, try CAT. Don't make it a production. During your next intimate moment, simply make that upward adjustment and begin the rocking rhythm. Observe everything. Is she drawing you closer? Is her breathing changing? Is her body moving to meet yours? Those are your signals. Pay attention to them. Next time, try woman on top. Let her. I know, genuinely, warmly, that you'd love for her to take control. Give her that invitation and then honor it. Stay still at first, let her find her rhythm, and then follow her lead once she's found it. Both times, add the manual component. Make it natural, make it seamless, let it flow as part of the experience, not as a separate step. And after each time, ask one question, just one. What felt best for you? Then listen. Actually, listen. That single question, asked consistently and genuinely, will tell you more about her than any technique ever could. And it tells her that you are someone worth being fully open with. Remember this: great lovers are not born, they are built through curiosity, through attention, through the willingness to keep learning. And the fact that you're here right now, watching this, taking notes, genuinely wanting to be better, that already puts you in a category most men will never reach. Gentlemen, so here is my challenge to you. Try one of these this week. Come back and tell me how it went. If this video gave you something genuinely useful, then drop a comment below. Tell me, which technique are you most excited to try, cat or woman on top? And if you want to go even deeper, if you want to learn the advanced communication techniques and timing strategies that amplify everything you learned today, watch the next video right after this one. This is Dr. Lila Romano. I'll see you there.